Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're starting from Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 19. Maya Jnana Kachanam Agyadokshajam Avyayam Nalakshyase Mutadrisha Nato Yadharo Yataha.
Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to the foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized.
Text 20. Tatha Paramahamsanam Mudinam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidanartham Katam Pashyema Istriyaha.
You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service onto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly?
Text 21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudev, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses.
Text 22. Namaha Pankajanabhaya, Namaha Pankajamaline, Namaha Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajanghare.
My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses.
Text 23. Yatha Rishikesha Kalena Devaki Kamsena Ruthati Charam Shukarpitam Vimachitam Cha Sahatmaja Vibhu Vayena Tvayeva Nathena Muhur Vipadkatnat.
O Rishikesha, master of the senses and lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers.
Text 24. Dishan Magni Purushad Drishanat Asat Sabhyavan Pusharataha Mride Mride Netka Maharatha Strato Druni Ashtratas Chasma Hare Rakshitaha.
My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashvatam.
Text 25. Vipadaha Shantu Tat Sasvat Tatra Tatra Jagadguru Bhavato Darshanam Yatshyat Apunar Bhava Darshanam.
I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again, for seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths.
Text 26. Janmeshwarya Shruto Shribhir Vedhamana Madaha Puman Naivarhyati Abhidatum Vai Vam Akinchana Gocharam.
My lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling.
Text 27. Namo kinchana vidya nivrita gunavrittaye atma ramaya shantaya kaivalya pataye namaha.
My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the monists.
Text 28. Manyetvam kalam ishanam anadzi nidhanam vibhum samam charantam sarvatra bhutanam yanmita kali.
My lord, I consider your lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller without beginning and end, the all-pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you're equal to everyone. The dissensions between living beings are due to social intercourse.
Text 29. Naveda kashchit bhagavam chikrishtam taveham manyashtrinam vidambanam nayashya kashchit hitosti karpichit dveshyascha yasmin vishama matirnam.
O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object to favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial.
Text 30. Janma karma cha vishvatmanam ajasya kartur atmanaha tiryandrishu yadashu tadatyanta vidam banam.
Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering.
Text 31. Kapi adande tvai krit gashidamantvat yat te drisharu kalilanjanam sambramaksham vakritam ninyan bayam bhavanyastitasyam samam vimohayati bhir apiyat viveti.
My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. And you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me.
Text 32. Kachidahurajam jagatam punyashlokasya kirtaye yadu priyasya vayaye malyasyeva chadanam.
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills.
Text 33. Apare vasidevashya devatyam gachito bhyagat ajastvam asya kshemaya vadhaya cha suradvisham.
Others say that since both Vasudeva and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods.
Text 34. Bharavattarananyanye bhuvo nava ivo dadhu Sidantya bhuri bharena jato hi atma bhuvartitaha.
Others say that the world, being overburdened like a boat at sea, is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble.
Text 35. Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karmabhi shravana smarana rhani karishyan iti kechana.
And yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation.
Text 36. Shanvanti gayanti grinanti abhikshana saha smaranti nandanti tavihitam janaha ta eva pashyanti achirena tavakam bhava brava hoparamam padambujam.
O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities, or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Gaurangi Gopi. Congratulations on your initiation.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, and thank you, Puja Mataji, for recitation of the English. Very
Thank
nicely
you.
done. I joined a bit late, but I heard some of the verses. Thank you very much for that. So the devotees, welcome to today's chat session. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter number 8, entitled Praise of Queen Kunti and Parikshit Saved. Today we'll be discussing text number 30. So if you just bear with me, I need a few minutes to just get myself organized. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Prayers of Queen Kunti, text number 30. Okay, so before we start, let's recite the Mangala Charanam prayers together. You can do so behind muted mics. Om Jnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutan Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Asachari Shatarine. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Share my screen. Text number 30. Janma karma cha vishvatman ajasya kartur atmanaha tiryan nirshishu yadhashu tad atyanta vidambanam. Word for word synonyms. Janma, birth. Karma, activity. Cha, and. Vishvatmana, Vishva Atman, O soul of the universe. Ajasya, of the unborn. Akartu, of the inactive. Atmana, of the vital energy. Tiryak, animal. Near human being. Rishisu, in the sages. Yadhasu, in the water. Tat, that. Atyanta, veritable. Vidhambanam, bewildering. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, though you are inactive, and that you take birth, though you are the vital force and the unborn. Just want to make sure everyone's muted. You are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend among animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. Purport. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of the human being. The Lord is the all-prevailing supersoul of all existence, and yet he appears in the form of a bull among the animals, in the form of a human being as Ram, Krishna, etc., in the form of a rishi like Narayan, and in the form of an aquatic like a fish. Yet it is said that he is unborn, and he has nothing to do. In the Shruti mantra, it is said that the Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. No one is equal to or greater than, no one is equal or greater than him. He has manifold energies, and everything is performed by him perfectly by automatic knowledge, strength, and activity. All these statements prove without any question that the Lord's activities, forms, and deeds are all inconceivable to our limited thinking power. And because he is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible in him. Therefore, no one can calculate him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. He cannot be understood by the Vedic knowledge, but he can be easily understood by the pure devotees. because they are intimately related to him, with him. The devotees therefore know that although he appears among the animals, he is not an animal, nor a man, nor a rishi, nor a fish. He is eternally the Supreme Lord in all circumstances. Beautiful verse in purport. Translation again. Of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work though you are inactive, and that you take birth though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend among animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. So, Kunti Devi is very intimately connected with the Lord. And yet she says the Lord's activities are bewildering. Prabhupada says the Lord cannot be understood through the Vedas. He could only be understood through pure devotional service, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, there's a few particular points about this verse I'd like to focus on today. And the first, and a very important point, Srila Prabhupada says that the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are apparently contradictory. Now, in this verse, there are two contradictions in particular that are emphasized. The contradiction on Janma and the contradiction on karma activities. And what is the contradiction on Janma? Birth. That he takes birth, although he is the vital force and he is unborn. To be unborn and at the same time take birth is a contradiction. And then the second contradiction is he is inactive, means he does not perform any work, but at the same time he works. Now, it is a common tendency for us, whenever there is some contradictions, we put it in the transcendental box. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Samaham Sarveshu, that I am equal to all, but I favor my devotees, Krishna says. So there's contradiction there. Now, I want to share with you a very nice presentation that I have experienced by a wonderful devotee called Hari Parshad Prabhu. And he gave a seminar or a talk, a three-part talk on the various contradictions that we see present in the Lord and how we can resolve it. So I'm going to make an attempt to share with you, using his slides, some aspects of his presentation. You can also at any point in time go to YouTube and you can search Hari Parshad contradictions. You can have access. Very, very beautiful series. But I'll just share something because it's so relevant to today's session. We know in the Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Lord Krishna says, Bhakti mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato jatva vishyate tat anantaram. That one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. And further, before that, Krishna also says, it's very famous in this very important verse, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvataha twakta dehan punarjanma naiti mam eti. So Arjuna. So Krishna says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So we can notice from this verse on the Bhagavad Gita, the first two words are the same in the verse we're reading today, Janma Karma. So in this verse, Krishna says, one who understands the transcendental nature, divyam, the word divyam is used, one who understands the transcendental nature of his birth, janma, and karma, his activities, does not, upon quitting this body, take birth again. So it's very important that we understand in truth the transcendental, because Krishna is saying here, we have to understand the transcendental nature. So when we read these verses that Krishna is unborn, he says, yes, Krishna is unborn, he resides in the spiritual world. And yet he is born, yes, he takes birth in the material world. So he's born, but that birth is transcendental. So we put it very nicely into a little box called transcendental box, and we close the box and it's locked. But no, Krishna wants us to understand his birth and his activities in truth. We have to understand this divyam aspect. And we have to make an attempt to try to understand this. And actually, our acharyas have explained this very, very nicely. And in particular, Srila Jiva Goswami. So I hope I can go through this quickly, but it's very, very fascinating. Very, very fascinating to understand this contradiction. Actually, it is very, very important to understand these contradictions because Krishna is Purnam, he's complete. That means even with these contradictions, he's complete, or his contradictions make him even more complete. So let's go through this presentation, courtesy of Ari Parsha Prabhu. So let's just start off with a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 8th canto, 3rd chapter, 8th verse, which is a verse spoken by Gajendra. And it is a very famous and important verse. And in this verse, Gajendra prays, Navijjate yasya chajanma karmava nanama rupa gunadosha evava tatapi lokapyaya sambhavyaya swamayaya tani anukalam rishyati. The Supreme Lord.
Prabhuji, we cannot see your screen.
You cannot see?
Are you sharing?
Yes, yeah. I am.
No, we can't see the verses.
Now?
Yes, Prabhu, now we can.
Oh, okay. Apologies. So let me just see why this is. Okay. So this is a verse spoken by Gajendra. And in this verse, he says, the Supreme Lord has no birth, janma, or karma, activities. He has no nama, names, no rupa, forms, no guna, qualities, or doshas, faults. However, for the creation and destruction of the universe, he assumes all these names, forms from time to time by his own Maya potency. Now, there are some important aspects of this verse that one should understand. So there's a term called vikara. Suna vidyate yasya cha karma janma karma va na nama rupa guna dosha eva va. The Supreme Lord has no janma, birth, names, forms, qualities, or false. So the important term in connection with this statement is a term called vikara. And what does this term vikara means? It means transformation, or it refers to a change in the state of existence. Now, why is that relevant? It's relevant because these 6 transformations, they apply to the conditioned soul. Like the transformation of janma. We take birth at one particular time. We undertake certain activities at a particular time. And those activities, they change in time. And we take birth again. Nama, we get a name, and our names change. We have a form, and the forms change. And we have qualities, and the qualities change. And we have false due to the modes of nature. Now, just bear with me. This is just a term, but the gist of this, we have to understand that we undergo different types of vikaras, transformations. But these 6 vikaras, transformations, they do not exist in the Lord. These transformations, they are prevalent in our existence, the existence of the conditioned soul, but they do not exist in the Lord. So the Lord does not take birth. There's no janma for the Lord because he always exists eternally in the spiritual world, in his original position. But how is it that Gajendra says, also says at the same time that the Lord does accept a birth in the world? How is it possible? So we have this contradiction that the Lord residing in the spiritual world does not take birth because he resides eternally there, but yet he takes birth in the material world. And normally the answer we give is yes, but Krishna's birth is spiritual. It's transcendental, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the verse we just read. But Jiva Goswami says this is not only being said by Gajendra. The entire Vedic literatures, the Shrutis, also describe him in contradictory ways. And Jiva Goswami says he's described in contradictory ways, like in the Katha Upanishad. It is said, Niskriyam Shantam. He is without acts and without desire. And Sarva Karma, Sarva Kamaha. He performs all acts and has all desires. So even within the Vedas, we see like that one statement in the Katha Upanishad saying he's without any acting and he's without desires. And in the same Vedic literatures, the Chandogya Upanishad says he performs all types of acts and he has all types of desires. So there's contradictions here in the Vedic literature. So which is the truth? The Mayavadis, they would try to pick out that which suits their agenda. Niskriyam Shantam. And one may say the Vaishnavas, they may pick up the statement that support his personality. But actually both statements fully support the Vaishnava Siddhanta. And therefore, it is really, really important that we understand from a Vaishnava perspective how this Niskriyam Shantam can be explained. It's very important. Otherwise, if we encounter such statements, we may get bewildered. And here's another interesting one. Many of us know this. Ugram, Anugram, Viram, Aviram, Mahantam, Amahantam, Vishnu, Avishnum, Jwalatam, Ajvalantam, Sarvatu Mukham, Asarvatu Mukham. This is describing Lord Nrsingadev. He is Agra, so he is Ugra, fierce, yet Anugra. He is gentle. He is Vira, brave, yet Avira, timid. He is Mahan, huge, yet Amahan, not huge. He is Vishnu, all-pervasive, yet Avishnu, localized. He is Jwalatam, blazing, yet Ajwalatam, cooling. And he is Sarvato Mukham, facing all directions. But now we come to a very, very important aspect of our Siddhanta. Very, very important. Because if we want to understand the Janma of the Lord, we have to understand it from the point of Siddhanta. So this important Siddhanta has been shared with us by Srila Jiva Goswami, quoting the Kurma Purana. So I hope you're not losing me. Just bear with me. It'll all come together, but it's such an important aspect of our Siddhanta. And Srila Jiva Goswami quotes this verse. Aishvarya Yogat Bhagavan Vidur Arto Vidhiyate. Due to his Aishvarya, unlimited opulence, the Supreme Lord is understood as Virudha Arta, the possessor of contradictory qualities, attributes. Now, this is such an important verse, because it's explaining that these contradictory qualities is actually a part of the Lord's unlimited opulences. And it helps us to understand him better. So let's explore this a bit more. What are we doing for time? Ooh, not much. Oh, the slides have got stuck. Okay. So yeah, before we tackle that, in normal philosophy, the atheists, they put forward something called the stone paradox. And they use the stone paradox actually to support an atheistic theory based on the contradictions within the Lord. I spoke about this recently, but I'll just go through it again because it's very important in the context of this verse. So the stone paradox reads like this, and we went through it. But can God create an object, example a stone, so heavy that he is unable to lift it? And here you see in this picture, they normally depict God as an old man with a beard. So can God create an object? Now, this is a paradox which the atheists are very fond of because it's a trick. All right. So if he can create a stone so heavy that he cannot lift it, it is disputing his omnipotence. Because omnipotence means he's so potent that there will not be anything that you cannot lift. So if he can create a stone that he cannot lift, it destroys his omnipotence. And if he cannot create a stone that he cannot lift, it also destroys his omnipotence, because if he's omnipotent, he should be able to create anything. Now, the Vaishnava Siddhanta is probably the only Siddhanta that has a proper explanation for such a paradox. That Krishna is able to create something is not able to lift, and at the same time he can lift it. And that's the contradiction I just explained. So our acharyas in this connection, they quote a verse from the 10th canto. So a 10th canto, this is a verse, I won't read the Sanskrit, but the translation is sometimes Mother Yashoda and the Gopi friends would tell Krishna, bring this article or bring that article. Sometimes they would order him to bring a wooden plank, wooden shoes, or a wooden measuring pot. And Krishna, when thus ordered by the mothers, would try to bring them. Sometimes, however, as if unable to raise these things, he would touch them and stand there. So Krishna, at some points in times, they would ask Krishna, oh, Krishna, bring this plank. Or Nanda Maharaj says, Mother Yashoda said, Krishna, bring your father's shoes, or bring this measuring pot. And Krishna, he would look and he would like say, I can't do that. I'm too small. I can't lift it. And Krishna, under the influence of Yogamaya, he genuinely couldn't lift it. So here we see part of the paradox. Yes, he can create something which he cannot lift, genuinely. And then we have the pastimes of Govardhan Hill, where he can lift an entire mountain. And the heaviest experience we have in the material world of anything is the Mandara mountain. So we know Lord Krishna once carried the Mandara mountain. Not only carried the mountain, he carried the mountain with Lord Vishnu sitting on the top. And there's no one as heavy as Lord Vishnu. So as Kurmadev, he carried it. So this paradox of the stone paradox is defeated within the Vaishnava Siddhanta. Because Krishna, because of his supreme potency, by his will, he can create something that he cannot lift. And at the same time, he can lift anything. He can lift anything. Now, that sorts out the stone paradox. But how does it sort out the janma, the birth paradox that we've spoken about? How is Bhagavan or Krishna's janma simultaneously impossible and possible? So the answer is Bhagavan's janma is impossible because he's eternally situated in his constitutional position. And nobody can force him to take birth according to the laws of karma. So he's unborn in the spiritual world. He exists eternally. At the same time, he accepts a birth in the material universe by his free will through his yoga maya, swamayaya. That is explained. But that raises a doubt. So when does he take birth in the material universe? Occasionally or constantly? Now, this is the crux of how we understand it, dear devotees, and please bear with me because it's so important. So the verse by Gajendra, it states, he uses the word anukalam, richati, means that he constantly accepts janma, karma, etc. in the material world. The Lord constantly is accepting janma and performing activities in the material world. Now, it seems impossible that he can constantly take birth, because our normal understanding that birth is an activity. Birth is a once-off activity. Like for us, we take birth. We are born, and that's it. We live our life, and then the next life we may take birth. So birth is a once-off activity. But for Krishna, birth is not a once-off activity. Now just bear with this logic. It's very important. So Krishna has unlimited forms. And he has unlimited replicas of those unlimited forms. And he has unlimited replicas of his abodes in the material world. And he has unlimited forms and replicas of his associates also. This is the point. That there are unlimited universes in this material world. And in each of those universes, Krishna is appearing. So when the birth-taking pastime of Krishna has not ended in this universe, in one universe, it's already started in another universe. Like as I am speaking right now, Krishna is taking birth in one universe. And a minute later, he's taking birth in another universe. So Krishna doesn't take birth. Yes, he takes birth. And we have to see this picture here. It's a nice metaphor to explain. So what we see here is a Mataji. What is she doing? She's making chapatis. Some chapatis she has made already. Some chapatis she is in the process about to make. And some chapatis she is making. So this is the nature of Krishna's activities. His birth activities are constant. And another way we can understand it is by this picture. So in this picture, we see there are 4 tiles. And we can identify the demarcation by the tiles by the borders of the tiles. So this means like our birth. Our birth is very distinct. It has a beginning and it has an end. Oh no, my slides have stopped. Anyway, I'll just carry on. But with Krishna, can you imagine there's a floral tile and there's another floral tile next to it, and they are all seamless, they're unblended. So you can have like 10 tiles together, but you'll never be able to see the distinction in them because it is seamless. So in the same way with Krishna's appearance and activities, they are seamless. Divya means it is transcendental, it is seamless. So Krishna's birth is not like our birth. Krishna's birth is in this material world, it is taking place constantly, seamlessly, and it is not an ordinary type of birth activity. So when we say that Krishna, he does not take birth and he takes birth, then we can understand it by this metaphor. And actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse by Srila Shukadev Goswami, where Shukadev Goswami says that Krishna's appearance in this world, Krishna's birth, is like the full moon rising. So this itself explains the nature of Krishna's birth. Like for us, we can see the full moon rising here. But at the same time, the full moon can rise somewhere else. So Krishna's birth is like that. It is a seamless occurrence, unlike any material birth. It is transcendental. He can break all laws of birth. He has no rules and restrictions. He can be like Lord Nrsingadev. He can be born fully manifest as Nrsingadev. Or he can appear like it is said in the womb of Devaki. So this is the nature of Krishna's birth. There's also a beautiful explanation given by Srila Jiva Goswami about karma, his activities. How do we understand that he acts and he does not act? And very quickly, Srila Jiva Goswami gives a definition of karma. And he says, the definition of karma is when an unsatisfied person performs an act to become satisfied. Just like us, we get up in the morning and we brush our teeth. So why do we brush our teeth? Because we feel some lacking. We feel we want to be refreshed. So we may sleep because we are unfulfilled, we are tired. So we perform. So Jiva Goswami says that we perform activities to fulfill something we are unfulfilled in. But the Lord, he performs activities simply out of the joy, out of his free will to perform those activities. So although he acts in the material world, it is not the way that we act. So dear devotees, I've been very quickly through this. It may be some technical, and maybe some of you have lost me. I would suggest for those of you who struggled with some of today's presentation, you go to YouTube and you search Hari Parshad contradictions, and he goes through all of these 6 contradictions that appear in this verse with Gajendra. And he goes through and explains each of those contradictions from Jiva Goswami in a most beautiful and excellent way. And we should actually not shy away from getting this understanding, because it's very, very important. Because Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam. We should understand his transcendental activities in truth. And what is the result? Those who understand his activities in truth never take birth again. So these contradictions, they are part of Krishna's opulences. They are beautifully come to light in these prayers of Kunti Devi. And it is something that we should try to understand and explore. And it will really deepen our understanding of the Lord and his activities, and increase our devotion and help us to fulfill the purport of this verse. Okay, I'll stop here. I'm not sure if there's any questions or comments that anyone has. The main point of this is birth. Krishna is taking birth in many of the universes. He's taking one after the other, the after the other, the after. It's not like the birth of a conditioned living entity. So therefore, it is taking birth, and he does not take birth.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu.
What a wonderful session. But we need an elongated one with the full explanation and video so that we can digest this properly, because you're right, the contradictions should be understood in truth. which is what it is. It is in truth, because Krishna is full of contradictions, but at the same time he's not. So yes, we have to understand this. Please arrange a session that we can have it properly. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. So Mataji Smita or Smita Shivam saying Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I didn't catch the name of what we should search for. Please repeat. Did you mean Divya? Divya means transcendental. Mataji, was that? I'm not sure.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
It's
Krishna.
it's the name that you just said last before Gajendra's. Before you mentioned Gajendra, that we should search for this, and it's explained very
Hare
nicely.
Krishna,
The
Prabhu.
tiles.
Sorry, Shailesh Prabhu, did you understand what Mataji is asking?
Yeah, she's asking for Hari Parshad Prabhu's details.
Oh, Hari
yes.
Parshad. Oh, Hari
That's
Parshad.
right.
Yeah, yeah, okay, spelled Hari, H-A-R-I. Parshad is P-A-R-S-H-A-D. So you search Hari Parshad contradictions, and it's a 3-part session he gives, and I can't claim anything I presented, but I just found his presentations so fascinating because it's based on Shastra, quoting Jiva Goswami, and it is just so enlightening and so interesting. I may have not explained it as well as he does. He's a very learned scholar, so I would encourage you to look through those and to try to understand it, listen to it, and watch it a few times, and it'll really bring a new light into these contradictions, because all contradictions are reconciled in the Lord. It's a feature of his opulence.
Oh, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for this nice class. I'm definitely going to look into that because Hari Prasad, he's in the US here, so I often get to listen to his class, and he's amazing. And now because you mentioned Gajendra's version there, it's more like I want to go deeper in it and know about these contradictions. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shakshi Mataji.
Prabhuji, the last sentence you said that when we brush our teeth and we can go back to sleep, so we don't act. But Krishna, that I didn't understand. The last bit.
Okay, so Srila Jiva Goswami gives a very interesting definition, Mataji, of this word karma. Karma means activity. So he says karma means an act an unfulfilled person performs to become fulfilled. And so Jiva Goswami makes the point that in the material world, people act for a purpose of fulfilling themselves. And I gave the example like getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth, or taking a shower. We do that to receive some fulfillment. But Krishna, he acts not because he has to act, but he acts simply for the joy of wanting to perform something. His actions are completely different from the way we do it. So in part 2 of this 3-part series, which Hari Parshad performs, he speaks about this in depth and in detail. I just gave a very, very tiny glimpse of understanding that. But Mataji, if you have YouTube, you go. And what I'll do is I'll send the links to all of those three sessions on the chat group, and then you can have a look at that, and maybe and then we can discuss again some other time after you've seen it, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, dear devotees, it's 8:46. Does anyone have any further questions, comments, clarifications, corrections? Yes, okay, I'll do that, Rita Kumari Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
And
Please do it on the page so I can remember.
Okay,
Thank
I'll
you
send
so
it.
much.
Actually, I got the link open now.
Yeah.
I'll post it. I'll post it on the message here to everyone. You can see.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thanks.
You can see there, and then the whole series will be there. Very, very interesting.
thank you very much, Prabhu, for
Hare
wonderful class and sharing these links.
Okay.
It's beautifully explained. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your participation. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Panchakalpa Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. And
Hare
Prabhupada
Krishna.
ki jai.
Wonderful, amazing. Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much.
Hare Krishna.